Hello and welcome to Some of My Friends Read Comics. Today we are reading Nightwing Year 1 with our friends. Who are our friends today? We got Vince.
I called him by my name. My name.
We got Chris.
You're too bloated to transport it through dimensions.
And I'm Kia. Hello, welcome to the show. We, as I said earlier, and I didn't mess it up, we are reading Wing 1. And this was in the mid-2000s. Chuck Dixon, is that the same guy who wrote Robin Year 1, which we read a while back?
Did we read Robin Year 1? I thought we read Batwing Year 1. Batgirl. Batgirl 1.
What is happening? We read Robin Year 1.
We definitely read Robin Year 1. I remember it because he joined that group of kids that were like thieves or ninjas or whatever.
That's right.
And yeah, and it was kind of like a parallel with Alfred, the same way that Batman Year 1 was like a parallel. Yeah, with Jim Gordon and Batman. This one doesn't even try to be a parallel with anyone else. It does its own thing, which I appreciate. Although, it stylistically didn't have the same sort of impact as the other two, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Dick Grayson's kind of a weird character. I mean, I find him one of the most compelling characters in the DC universe just because he quit being Robin, or he was fired from being Robin, and then he decided to be his own superhero, and he did. And I think that's super compelling. I also think there's only 2 or 3 stories to tell with Dick Grayson after that point that I give a shit about at all. And one of them is when he quit or got fired and became his own man. And that's it. I was reading some modern Dick Grayson comics, and it's his identity was outed, and now he's known to the world. And I'm like, okay, well that might be interesting. It's actually now he's working for a spy organization. I'm like, I don't give a shit. Why does this have to deal with Dick Grayson? I don't care.
Yeah, I feel like I went on that up-down roller coaster a few times throughout this book, where I was like, oh yeah, that is really interesting. And then the next issue, I'm like, okay, and then all right, that's cool. And then back to, okay, real back and forth.
I don't care about him establishing his own rogues gallery. I really don't. I like his relation as we're a sidekick with other sidekicks. I think that's cool. But I don't care about he's got this villain. I'm I don't care. I don't care.
Nah, his rogues gallery has to be adjacent to Batman's rogues gallery in the same way he is adjacent to Batman. I think, I don't know. I feel like he should fight sidekicks almost in a way, but not really. Is there a Nightwing version of a hero's sidekick? A villain's sidekick or henchman that went off and decided to do their own thing? I feel like that's who I want to see.
There's I get the same vibe that I get from Scarlet Spider, where I'm infinitely interested in this character, but I do not care about his adventures.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't want him to come up with a new supporting cast, and I don't really care about oh, he's fighting the Lady Dr. Octopus. Okay, cool. But I'm infinitely interested in Ben Reilly, and interested in Dick Grayson. I just don't find them fighting villains interesting.
We did not mention the other writer, Scott Beatty, who, have we talked about him on the show before?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I get him and the artist confused because they seem to always show up together.
Which artist?
Scott
the one
McDaniel?
formerly known as Prince?
Yes.
Scott McDaniel. The Understanding Comics guy?
No, that's Scott.
No, that's Scott.
Scott McCloud.
Scott McCloud.
Scott McCloud.
No, Scott McDaniel's. He did he randomly popped up in Detective and DC books for last 15, 20 years, just on random runs.
Yeah. And he's the same way at Marvel before that. He did Daredevil. He did the Green Goblin series with Phil Urich.
The Phil Urich one? Oh,
yeah.
I remember that.
So he was doing the C tier Marvel books, and then kind of got swiped up by DC in the mid '90s, and then kind of never looked back.
Yeah, because he did a lot of Brubaker Batman when Brubaker did Batman.
Yep, that's kind of who I associate with the art that looks like this is Brubaker's writing in the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I generally really like his style here. It's got that kind of cartoony but still serious, kind of that perfect balance between the two that I really like. That kind of reminds me a little bit of the animated series while still being its own thing.
Yeah, I can see that. I think it's a little sloppy, But
it is, especially like the busier it gets, and like background characters or like minor kinds of henchmen type characters, like they always look like the Mole Man. So many characters in this book look like the Mole Man to me, constantly.
Yeah.
So we should just get into it, yeah. Mid 2000s, they did this thing. Well, this was right around the time of like Infinite Crisis, right?
It might have been, yeah. It would have been because it's 2005, so it's right around here. I don't know if this may be them taking like a detour while there was the 1 year later. I was
giving them a chance to, yeah.
I found my paper copies of it, and it had ads for Matrix Online.
Woo!
Like on the back cover. Yeah. Like that's the kind of era we're in.
I mean, the annual that you thought we were reading is definitely, that was like the lead in to them going on that cruise for the, 1 year later 52 stuff, right? I mean, that's literally how that issue ends, is they're like, see you in a year.
Oh yeah, so we should take a pause. For Valentine's Day, we said, this is the Nightwing, Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon story. I remember reading this in the mid 2000s, and so I was like, well, I obviously remember. I don't buy much Nightwing comics, but I bought year 1. This must be it. So then I pulled out my paper copies, and Nightwing Annual 2, I want to say, popped out. And that's all about Barbara and Dick's relationship, and it was written like a fucked up relationship. Like I think it was supposed to be romantic, but it was like Barbara just got shot by the Joker for the Killing Joke, and Dick like showed up, and he's like, I came as fast as I could, and they have sex, and it's this real passionate thing, and I'm like, oh, this is cute. And then the next morning he's like, oh, by the way, here's an invitation for me and Starfire's wedding. And I'm like, and she's like, what? How dare you? Get out. And then like 2 pages later, she's like, Dick, I'll always love you. And I'm like, so that was written by Judd Winnick. No, not Judd Winnick. Mark Andreyko. It was written by.
Okay. This was not that
writer.
Yeah. Barbara Gordon was barely in this thing. I mean, she played kind of an important role around the middle.
She had a good issue. I think issue 4 or 5 was her issue. It was really good.
Yeah. I don't know if I mentioned the issues that we're reading. It was issues number Nightwing 101 through 106. So yeah, it's like definitely a flashback, although it never explicitly mentions that it's a flashback. You get the idea. Robin and Batman, original Robin, first Robin, Dick Grayson, they are fighting Two-Face for this whole issue. It does, Robin does this thing that what did I say?
Two-Face.
Oh, Clayface. I'm sorry.
One face. Just one face.
Yeah,
face. Many faces.
Robin is fighting Face, and he does this thing that generally annoys me, where he says, "Oh, I can't believe I never thought of freezing him before," which always feels like the author's calling out every other author, like, "Hey, idiots! Why didn't anybody write a storyline where they did that?" Or that feels mean-spirited. But anyways, they're fighting. Clayface has a baby or something for some reason, and he runs away. And Dick goes, "Oh my God, I gotta save that baby!" Runs after him. Batman's not too happy with this decision. He's like, "Oh, the baby was never in real danger. It was Clayface's son. It was a domestic dispute." Oh, and this fight is, I guess, the fight that breaks them up. I didn't feel the weight of this fight necessarily, and the weight of their argument.
Yeah, I mean, again, and we say this every time we do a year 1. I say this rather, like Batman Year 1 comes up with certain expectations of like how the format should be and how like the storytelling should be, and it should be more like personal and less like just like punch, fight. But like half this issue's run is like a weird, boring fight against Clayface, and then like the most interesting thing, which is where Batman fires him, is like done in like a line that doesn't build very well.
And then like Alfred has a punchline at the end of it afterwards, like, "Now am I gonna have to wear the costume? Oh boy!" I was like, "What is happening here?" Weird book.
And this is really, I mean, this came out in, like we said, 2005. This is coming out after the new Batman Adventures or whatever, the return of the animated series did the like Jason Todd Nightwing episode. So it's kind of weird that they're like, "Oh, let's do a Nightwing Year 1," and it's like they're kind of like this reads very much like an episode of the cartoon, especially the part where he's just fighting cartoon Clayface.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. I didn't find this issue particularly compelling. They get back to the base. Alfred has a new uniform for Robin. Oh, it's so nice. But he doesn't get to try it on because he's gotten fired because this was their biggest fight ever, I guess. And that's kind of it. I wasn't into this first issue, but thankfully I think the second issue picked up a lot. I liked it. It was Robin kind of just going to visit Clark Kent to get some advice. And I enjoyed this, where they're in civilian stuff. Lois is like, hey, how do you know this kid?
Yeah, like, why is this kid interested in Clark of all people?
Yeah.
Clark's a loser. Like, this obviously means something. So, like, every time Lois is on this issue is dynamite. Lois is dynamite in this issue.
She looks him up and is like, oh, this kid used to work for... he's Bruce Wayne's ward. Okay, interesting.
It's like that. It's the perfect mix of, like, the spunky, like, 50s, like, way too, like, nosy Lois, but, like, updated for a modern day. Like, it works really well for me. Yeah. I really like Lois. And I also really like this scene. Like, he fired me. What did he say? Who said that? And then Clark goes like, oh, that is so Bruce. I love it. I'm like, this is good. This is the kind of stuff I came for. Like, this is what I was here for.
Superman, I don't know if this was, like, has this been established elsewhere? Because I would kind of be interested in reading about this. Superman tells him about this hero from Krypton from before it exploded, when he was just like, how does he remember this? I don't know.
He's got the Fortress of Solitude. He's got Marlon Brando telling him things in those crystals.
Marlon Brando's making everything up. This is all fake news. But
Marlon Brando's just fucking coming up with stupid stories to tell his son, and none of this is true.
Oh, and there was a superhero on Krypton. Let me tell you about him. His name was Nightwing. But apparently that's where Superman, that's where Nightwing gets the idea for his name, from this hero named Nightwing. Was that a real thing? Has it been anywhere else?
You're asking the wrong people. This definitely feels like something that it was, like, that's the origin of that. A lot of this is very, like, retro origin itis, where, the next issue in particular is really bad about it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think this is an original creation by the writers. This doesn't feel like something that I've ever heard of before.
Really? Because this is like, well, because I don't read that much Nightwing stuff. I was like, I assumed this was the case. I found this one in 05 being like, ooh, how intriguing. Mm-hmm. And even when I've been like watching, like, I went back and watched Batman and Robin in 90, or maybe it was Batman Forever, when Robin's trying to come up with names, and he's like, well, it could be this, or it could be Nightwing, or it could be this, or it could be Robin. And I'm like, he said, or Nightwing. It's like, but that's stupid because that's Superman's hero. So, like, clearly something resonated with me. But this could, yeah. I don't know if this is a Chucky D original, or if this is, like, something that they came up with, like, post-Crisis. Because Nightwing was active before Crisis, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, because Jason Todd's in Crisis. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
After they kind of talk for a little while, a bomber shows up, a crazy guy who's going to explode something or other. You know how Metropolis is. Everybody's always trying to blow up a building. Superman and Dick Grayson both, like, disappear from the room as Lois is there. Lois is, like, in the room, and they both disappear. Right?
Clark definitely does. Clark leaves his office. Which, I don't know what Metropolis real estate space is, but, like, Clark must have a huge office. It looks like he has.
It does. It looks giant. That guy doesn't. He's got a single desk and a typewriter in there. He does not need that. He's never there.
Well, it's the 90s. Journalism is doing great.
That's true. The internet has not come along to destroy it yet. And I like later when Lois comes back and Clark's there. It's like, and Clark had to learn all this stuff about hockey to keep up the lie. I really like that moment. Yeah, it was like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah, because what did he's like? Oh, we love hockey. We're hockey buddies, and we talk about hocky. And Lois is like, you never talk about hockey because you're a loser.
And so afterwards, after all this, Superman's like, hey, I've got my Fortress of Solitude. That's where I go to, like, figure stuff out. Do you got a Fortress of Solitude? Where do you call home? And so Robin goes back to the circus. And I also hate the circus. Oh, I'm glad you hate the circus. It's like the dumbest part of Robin.
The only circus story that's ever been interesting to me is Starman. any other story where like I'm gonna go find my roots at the circus, fuck that. I'm out. I do not care.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I liked Big Fish.
Nope.
No,
out there too. No.
All right.
R.I.P. Albert Finney, by the way. He passed away this last week.
Oh.
He was the dad. He was the dad who died in that movie 15 years ago.
Oh, that yeah.
No, yeah, I'm on Kia's side on that one. That's a good movie.
It is a good movie.
Tim Burton's last good movie?
What?
Tim Burton's last good movie?
Probably.
I can't off the top of my head recall any other Tim Burton movies. I'm sure he did some of the other, like, wasn't Coraline after that?
Yeah, he didn't
make that.
He produced that. No, he didn't even produce that. That was Henry Selick, or Selznick. But no, he made Frankenweenie. Now we're and Miss Peregrine's whatever, and he's got Dumbo, another circus movie.
Miss Peregrine was terrible, but I liked Frankenweenie. That was great.
Yeah, but Dumbo, if you want to get on some circus movies, which I
wait, he did Dumbo?
The new Dumbo.
Tim Burton did that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Coming out this year, right?
Coming out this year, reuniting with the Penguin and Batman from Batman Returns. Both Michael Keaton and Danny DeVito are in it.
Ooh, that's fun. So, anyways, back to this comic, I guess. This one took another like sort of downward turn for me. Although, there were parts of it that I liked. I went into it thinking, "Oh God, circus issue," but it was better than I expected it to be. He's just hanging out back there. He's talking to. I don't know why Deadman's brother is involved in the circus, but I guess he is. Deadman is a hero who is dead, and he's a man. He died. That doesn't make any sense. I don't know. But he died, and his brother is dead.
But didn't die the way Deadman usually dies?
Right. He actually died, maybe. But his brother is Deadman now, except he's just at the circus. Like, he just works at the circus, and he's not a superhero. I don't understand. Anyways, the real Deadman is spying on Dick Grayson from, like, other people's bodies and possessing them, and it's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
And
in the meantime, Dick Grayson sees the Deadman outfit and is like, oh, I could steal that.
Mm-hmm. And I really hate how all of Robin's costumes come from this circus. He hangs out and says, "Hey guys, can I get a job?" And like he saves everyone from a lion and some muggers or something. And they're like, "Oh boy, this guy's great. Oh yeah, we knew he's a classic, this kid." And he says, "Yeah, I'm gonna make this new outfit." And are you gagging? Somebody's gagging?
Oh, that's a coughing baby. Sorry.
Oh, well, it's okay. You could be gagging. This part of that issue is pretty terrible.
Gag me with a spoon.
Smart kid. And this girl who works there, who is kind of like a love interest, but not really because it was Deadman's old love interest, makes him a new outfit. And he's like, "All right, peace. I'm out of here." And he takes this new outfit of theirs and starts fighting crime with it as a secret identity, which is a terrible idea because somebody gave you that costume, dude. They're going to know what it looks like. They're going to see that on the news and be like, "Oh, yeah, that's Robin. That's Dick Grayson." Terrible.
Meanwhile, the other thing that's happening is like Alfred comes downstairs and sees a boy tied to a chair in the Batcave. And I'm like, somebody needs to call CPS right now. Like Alfred, like, did Batman do this with the previous boy? Like, and then the boy escaped? Is that what happened to Master Dick? Like, which now sounds bad. From Alfred, I'd have more questions if Batman's just trapping little boys in his Batcave. Like this. And that's how it's presented. It's like, oh, it's just fun. He just trapped a kid because he was trying to steal the tires. Which, Chris, I think you told us was not the original story, correct?
Yeah, we actually read the first appearance of that story in the Death in the Family. That origin flashback of him stealing tires, because prior to that, he was a circus performer.
Also,
he was a circus performer too.
Yes,
I'm glad they changed that. We didn't need two circuses in this book.
Is Batman just picking up boys at the circus?
That's what he's going to the circus, scouting out little acrobats.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it made sense in context because it was like literally that Dick Grayson knew the Todd family. So it's like, well, if it makes sense, I guess, that he knows carnies. This book also, they use the word rube a lot.
I didn't notice it until you said it. They do, constantly. I did mention that at the end of this book, Dick kind of pieces out and says, "All right, Circus, I'm out of here." He never actually does that. This book just ends with him kind of having his Nightwing costume, and I guess we're to assume that he has a job at the circus now. But I don't know how much time passes between 3 and 4 because they never mention the circus again between these two issues. He's just done, and he's back, and he's like ready to be Nightwing in Gotham City. And
obviously, less than a year.
Well, overall, in general, this book does not have a very great sense of time and like making it feel like Nightwing's first year. It feels more like Nightwing month 1 and month 12 between the first 3 issues and the last 3 issues. It's just like, yeah.
I mean, isn't that? I mean, I don't feel like it's supposed to be anything else. I mean, it's not supposed to take place over a year, is it?
Well, the title is called Year One.
that just means it's his first year operating, right? Yeah. I mean, that doesn't mean it's like a 12-month long story. It's not
not necessarily, but I expected like a little bit more of a build over the course of it instead of, you know, like a one-part thing, and then I'm at the circus and now I'm home. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of a 1-month thing.
Yeah, it seems like just a condensed origin. Like I think Batman Year One like jumped like 3 months every issue, and then like maybe issues 3 and 4 were like the same week. Like,
you know that I think that's it. The passage of time is just never like mentioned at all. So if you told me that between 3 and 4 was 1 month, if you told me that it was 3 years, I would believe you either way. Anyways, he's out of the circus. He comes back to first thing he does is he meets with Jim Gordon. And he's like, "Hey, you know, I used to be Robin."
This. I
like this a lot. It was a great moment where he's, you know, kind of saying, "Hey, I'm Batman, but not crazy. I'll be your friend." Shows up his The Law badge that Jim Gordon had given him. You think that's an official The Law badge? Is that what all? Chris, you work with cops, right?
No.
They all have The Law badges.
Kia, stop trying to make our new segment happen.
I'm really trying to get Chris to break his. Why do I keep want to say doctor-patient confidentiality?
Attorney-client privilege.
Attorney-client privilege. And that's the name of our segment. It's called Spill the Beans, and Chris is going to tell us secrets about law. And he has to do it whenever I flash my The Law.
That's a Patreon tier.
Yeah, Patreon tier. You'll get Can podcasts that we flash like a smiley every time we do this?
I mean, it is pretty funny that Jim Gordon can't tell that this kid that he's like seen grow up from like age 14 till age like 19 or whatever. He's like, I don't recognize this guy. But at the same time, he can't recognize his own daughter.
Yeah, this guy sucks.
He's not the world's greatest detective. That name is already taken.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of his daughter, Barbara Gordon, aka Batgirl, finds him. They they hang out a bunch. She says, "Hey, you gotta go introduce the world to Nightwing." And so, what does Dick Grayson do? Sorry, I'm laughing too hard because this, I think, was one of the more ridiculous scenes of the book. He goes to the Joker's cell at Arkham and just teases him. And he says, "Hey, I'm Nightwing now. What do you say to that, huh? What do you say to that?" And I want to hear what you guys thought about this.
I love it. This is the kind of dumb stuff. This shows the passage of time. This is kind of like where I'm like, oh, him and Batgirl are cute. I'm also like, this is dumb. Like, Dick, I think you're a little smarter than this, but okay.
Yeah, she even asks him, like, what was the point of that? It's like, what's the point of locking him up if we can't go tease him every now and then, right?
Yeah.
They keep hanging out, busting up crimes. They go beat up the Penguin. They don't actually beat him up. They, like, call the cops on him. It wasn't very heroic either, right? They didn't have to be there. They could have just called the cops and not walked in and said hi.
No,
right?
But he's got every cop in his pocket.
Oh,
yes. But they still call the cops. So who the fuck knows?
Sure.
They call his bluff, I guess.
Yeah.
Chris, how many crooked cops do you know?
Yeah.
It definitely reminds me of, again, the animated series, because there's an episode where Nightwing like has an adventure with Catwoman. And, it's like, oh, like, you're not just like Batman. Like, you can do different things. Like, you don't have to be as by the book as him. And that's basically, like, what this issue... And it's with Batgirl, but that's kind of what the whole point is it's like, oh, I don't have to be exactly like Batman in what I'm doing.
So they have Nightwing episodes of animated series? Because I guess Tim Drake does show up.
There was that one in particular that I remember that was Nightwing and Catwoman hanging out.
Yeah, there's really only maybe 2 or 3. There's the one that explains how he became Nightwing, and then there's that one, and then there's maybe like one more. But yeah, he's a supporting character. It's not the Nightwing show.
Yeah, but it is from like that era where it's pretty much, instead of a Robin, they've got Batman and Batgirl for the most part, which I remember it was kind of common for a little while. Chris, how many crooked cops have you taken down from the inside?
We're still working on it.
So issues 105 and 106 are where things really went off the deep end for me, and I kind of stopped caring a little bit, but then I was kind of into it. Issues 5 and 6 are more about like how the new Jason Todd Robin is getting trained, and he has to go through the gauntlet. Is that what they call it? It's like his final test. And for this final test, we never learn what it is, but Alfred and Bruce are dressed as Two-Face and his henchmen.
That's how it starts. But then the book seems to either forget that or forget to explain that between the 2 issues crossing, between issue 105 and 106. And then
they don't explain why. But I'm just like, okay, Alfred is like dressed up perfectly like Two-Face. So perfectly that as they are driving along the road, somebody sees Alfred sitting in the back of his car, that Bruce Wayne is like fake driving as a henchman. And they're like, hey, that's Two-Face back there. Oh shit, we gotta get him. They like run the car off the road. Batman gets way injured, has to go to Dr. Leslie Tompkins to get some care. And Alfred gets captured by Killer Croc. And that's like the cliffhanger of this book, that Alfred has been captured, but Killer Croc thinks it's Two-Face. And he's like, I finally got Two-Face. Now I'm going to be the mob boss. And I don't understand what Batman's plan was. Why is Alfred dressed as Two-Face?
I thought the plan was that like Jason was going to take down Two-Face, or what he thought was Two-Face, and then everybody revealed their masks and like, actually, this was just a Danger Room sequence. But good job, kid.
But here's the thing: they had Danger Room sequences. Like, they're running simulations back at the mansion, right?
But this is like, in the real world, without telling him that this is with real people that he thinks are real goons. And
okay, here's my question: does he think that Robin won't punch Two-Face? Like, why would you dress up your feeble old butler as Two-Face?
Did Two-Face kill his...
found it. Well, yeah, we found out in Death in the Family that Two-Face did kill, or at least was responsible for his dad's disappearance.
So this Robin might murder Two-Face. Why would you dress
up? But not Two-Face, Alfred. He'll accidentally murder Alfred.
But we also found out in the Dead Man issue, when Dead Man possessed Alfred, he's like, whoa, this butler guy's in great shape.
That's true. Okay, he's not feeble, you're right. But still, I don't think he wants to be fighting Robin, right?
That's also a great point. Other point, it also hinges on Jason not being a good enough detective to accidentally find the real Two-Face. Like,
oh yeah.
Well, they're leading him by the nose, though. I mean, I think it's pretty clear. What I also like, though, during the Danger Room test is Batman's like, pretty good. You're in the 95th percentile on that, escaping that maze. It's like, the 95th percentile of what? Like, did you have 100 teenagers?
There's been a lot of dead boys.
Yeah. Well, so speaking of which, Nightwing, Dick Grayson, is also like, is he like holding auditions? What is he doing? How did he just like pick another Robin so fast? And it is like, Bruce is being kind of a dick, like instantly parading around his new sidekick. Like, yeah, I fired you and I got a new younger sidekick. Yeah. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it is the side effect of like the fact that this does feel like it's taking place over a month, and the fact that he's just the book should be like, oh, between issues like 3 and 4 or 4 and 5 or whatever, it should be like, yeah, I had adventures with the Teen Titans during this time, but instead it just seems like, yeah, it's been like a weekend since the end of the last issue when I went out with Batgirl. Yeah. And so if that's true, it's like, then like it just doesn't make sense. Like Batman instantly gets a new sidekick. Mm-hmm. He's a crazy person.
I did like the way when Robin and Nightwing run into each other, they're both total dicks to each other, but then over the course of 5 and 6, they kind of grow to like each other and work together. And, my only notes for issue 6 were, I wrote down, the 2 Robins work together to save Alfred.
Yeah,
and that's it. That's all I wrote down.
I like the beat of that too, because it's like Dick is like the point of the story. I don't think the story executes very well. Is Dick is learning to make peace with the fact that he's no longer Robin, and there will be a new Robin in the world. And it also gives like Jason another mentor that's not Batman, which is the same way that I like that Dick went to Superman as like a secondary mentor. Like it works for me in that regard. I think. I mean, if we're gonna go to conclusions right now, I think if you go beat by beat for what this book is trying to do, it's like, well, for issue 1 is that Dick gets fired. Issue 2 is where like Dick needs to like go to Superman and like, figure out what he's want to be. Issue 3 is Dick going back to his roots. Issue 4 is him like reintroducing himself as Nightwing and working with Batgirl. And then issues 5 and 6 is him like making his peace with no longer being Robin, and there's going to be a new Robin. Like that all sounds like a good story to me, beat by beat.
Yeah.
But then execution-wise, it's like we're wasting a lot of time on this stupid Killer Croc fight or this Clayface fight that I don't care about. It's confusing, and like it seems to waste a lot of page time with not the stuff that I would want to explore. That is right there, but I don't know if that's unfair. But like when I hear a year 1 story, those are the kind of beats that I want to hear.
Yeah. But at the same time, it had all those beats in there. So on one hand, like I kind of like this book for keeping it brief and like getting to it, but I did just want that little bit more. I feel like I don't want to call this book a solid C, because sometimes it was like an F and sometimes it was a straight up A, and it's like I don't know. It's weird to me. Have we ever given our books letter grades before?
We haven't.
Okay, great.
Let's start with episode 97. Let's do.
Yeah.
We'll start yet another recurring feature that will never recur again.
Yeah. I mean, I agree though. It's very like inconsistent. Like I thought the like Dead Man stuff, I was like, what was the point of that? It was just like
we did find out that Dead Man was working for Batman to like keep tabs on Dick, right? We didn't mention that.
The real Dead Man, not the Dead Man brother.
The real Dead. Oh, we also didn't mention their names. Boston and Cleveland, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And he even makes a joke like, "No, I don't got a sister named Miami. Shut up. Get rid of it."
Her name's Ontario. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
The whole province, not a town, sorry.
But yeah, it was, I mean, to me that felt like, I was just like, this could be, I know, it's a comics and whatever, and you have to show everything and really, and preferably in 28 pages of comic books with ads for the Matrix Online on the back.
Oh yeah.
But it's just like, yeah, there's really nothing to that story. Like that issue by itself, I'm like, yeah, that didn't give me any new information really. Like that's like if that was if I picked that issue up off the rack, I'd be like, meh. Like that's not any good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the last 2 issues, I'd be like, oh, this is actually even the last 3, because I like the Barbara one as well.
One too.
Yeah, I would say, if you're going to read this book, read the end of issue 1, all of issue 2, skip 3, and then 4, 5, 6. Right? Is there a trade version that just comes like that?
Yeah.
Like the people listen to this whole podcast, they're like, well, I'm going to go read this now.
This is like our Topher Grace edit where we just cross off the 3rd issue and then part of the 1st issue.
Kia's machete cut. Well, you want to start with issue 2 and then go back to issue 1.
All right, so that was Nightwing year one. I think that's the first time I've ever read a Nightwing comic, actually. Like that's actually called.
He's got a ton of issues. Obviously, he had over 100.
Yeah, congratulations, Dick. I think that makes him eligible for syndication. Good job.
Yeah, I actually, because I was reading in the 90s, and when an issue 1 came out, I would check it out. Mm-hmm. And it actually had that creative team, at least Dixon and McDaniel did issue 1. And I was like, oh, this is cool. And so I read the first, I think, like 25 issues or so. And they did, like, I know McDaniel had some fill-ins, but like that's the creative team for a long time. Like they did a lot of issues.
Yeah, it's always nice when a team gets to stick around on a comic for a long time like that. It's very nice.
Yeah, I know we were going to get political. Chuck Dixon is a complicated Comicsgate person right now, but in the past, like in the 90s, like he was my guy for like all the Bat side stories. Like one of my gateways in the DC universe was Robin 2, The Joker's Wild, which was the first set of Tim Drake miniseries. Chuck Dixon created Tim Drake. And that was all about Robin's first time, or Tim Drake's first time meeting the Joker after the Joker had killed Jason Todd. And I loved that. Like, I thought that was so cool. And he wrote the Batgirl year 1 and the Robin year 1 that we've already done. And those were fantastic. I think this is probably the weakest of those 3 that all came out around this era. But I like Chuck Dixon for Dick Grayson and for Tim Drake. I like him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not too bad. I can't say that I care either way about Chuck Dixon. So if it turns out he's a giant asshole, then okay, too bad.
You can go make books with Ethan Van Sciver now. I'm fine.
What?
Yeah, nothing. Ethan Van Sciver's also like don't dive into deep.
Boy, why is everybody an asshole? All right. So on to Secret Wars.
Oh, do we want to talk about next time or Secret Wars?
We'll talk about next time.
We'll talk about Secret Wars and then next time.
Okay, is that our segments? Okay, sorry.
I think that's how we usually do it.
we'll figure that out.
Well, no, because what if people don't want to stick around to the end to figure out what we're doing next time? We got to make sure they stick around. So we're going to keep you on the edge of your seat for
what are we doing next time.
Yeah, coming up soon.
Did you want us to do some dramatic readings here?
Yes. So, if you've been following along with the show, we've been reading all of the old Secret Wars from the 80s. I feel like 5 and 6, had a little bit of a slump. Not as entertaining as the first few issues. But now this one, boy, I want to read the cover first. It says that in this issue, we've got the death of an Avenger, the X-Men's greatest battle, and introducing the all-new Spider-Woman. And I'm like, oh, okay, Spider-Woman's in this one. Great. And yeah, I want to just read the first little beginning of this. Vince, if you would please be the Human Torch.
Okay.
Chris, if you wouldn't mind being the Thing, the role you were born to play. And I will be Spider-Woman.
Are we just starting on page, I guess, 2 or page 1 rather?
Yeah, whenever you're ready.
Hey, who are you?
I'm Spider-Woman.
Damn it.
Hey, everybody, look what I found.
A girl.
Hello, everybody. I'm Spider-Woman. And scene. I think those are some of the greatest lines of dialogue that I've ever seen in a book, and this book is off the chain. We see Spider-Woman display her power, like lifting stuff up. She's like, I'm real strong. And Spider-Man
No. Hawkeye says, what makes you think you can help us? Because you're a girl. That part's implied. And then she's holding a rock and says, well, I'm strong. And then Captain America's like, that you are, but you're also a girl.
And then somebody says, it could be that she's like a spy who's been sent by Dr. Doom, right? It's like, yeah, but Dr. Doom has a lot of power right now, so it's probably not a spy.
This is Julia Carpenter, right, Chris?
Yes.
Okay.
Spider-Woman 2.
They explain that, how the Beyonder created this planet. This is there was a suburb of Denver that has also been lifted and brought to this planet. Sorry, my voice is getting real scratchy. We never see the rest of this suburb.
And they never say what the name of the suburb of Denver is.
Never. And also, that doesn't explain Spider-Woman at all. She's just like, oh, I'm from this suburb of Denver, and I was brought here. Okay, but maybe you could mention something about being Spider-Woman. Like, no? Okay.
Yeah. Where'd you get that costume?
Yeah.
Is she from like Earth 616 also, or is she from like a different one?
No, yeah, she's from Earth. Okay. Just like Titania and Volcana. She's just like, here's another new super character.
Great. All right, congratulations, Spider-Woman, you're in.
And later they call it that suburb of Denver. Like,
yeah,
they mentioned
we gotta protect the village and that suburb of Denver.
Like they don't I don't know any suburbs of Denver, so I'm just gonna say suburbs of San Antonio. Like they don't say they don't call it Bernie or Fredericksburg.
Yeah.
Like they say,
give it a name. Oh boy! And then without missing a beat, the Wrecking Crew rolls up in their big red truck.
This is my panel of the week.
You texted this to us. This might be your panel of the decade.
It's so funny. It's like a tank, and they open up the big dome tube, and it's I don't know the Wrecking Crew members, although I should probably at this point.
The purple one, Donatello.
It's the Wrecker, the head of the Wrecking Crew.
And he's holding the dome of the tank open with one hand and holding the Wasp's body in the other one. And he goes, "Hey, you jerks! Here's a present for you from the Wrecking Crew," which I thought was hilarious. And then turns out she's dead, so I felt really bad about texting it to you guys immediately.
I felt bad too, but at the same time, that's such a funny way to throw a dead body back at the good guys. Like, holy shit!
Yeah. And then says catch, and then just tosses her.
And so She-Hulk is pissed, wants to go attack the bad guys right then and there. And Captain America says, no, we can't. Galactus is building his big machine. We got to be here to protect the village. We got to protect that suburb of Denver. We cannot go. We got to wait here. And this is my favorite part of this book because Captain America just has to sit there waiting for Galactus to finish an attack, which he never does. He looks like he's just sitting there watching his neighbor do yard work. Like Galactus is walking around, cleaning his gutters. It's I feel bad for Captain America, boy.
Yeah, and Captain Marvel, who I don't think has had anything except just sort of generic lines for about 3 issues, can fly at the speed of light.
Which Captain Marvel?
Is she Photon?
Was this Photon?
Yes, Photon.
Yeah.
This is when she's Captain Marvel.
Is this Kara Danvers still?
No, that's
is it Monica Rambeau?
Yes, yeah. This is Monica Rambeau.
Okay. From Next Wave.
Yes.
Yeah.
Boom boom, not boom boom.
They take her to that healer's hut, but that's no good. She's dead. And She-Hulk goes and attacks. You're right. But She-Hulk goes and attacks the villains on her own. She's a real badass about it too, kind of sneaking around, I'm just gonna fucking kill them. It's great. I like it when She-Hulk gets to kind of Hulk out and nobody's there to stop her. It's good stuff. We have there was this subplot that was literally only existing inside of Rogue's thought bubbles, where she's like, boy, am I picking the right team, joining up with the X-Men? And in this issue, that subplot is resolved, because also in her thought bubble, she says, nah, I already joined them. I'm going to quit waffling around and just be with them for reals. And something about that really tickled me, that this subplot resolved itself through thought bubbles alone.
Yeah, I guess.
Power of positive thinking.
Jim Shooter writes women so well.
Yeah.
He wrote Wasp so well last week.
Lizard is pissed at the Wrecking Crew for killing the Wasp. Yep. Yeah. We have Volcana, who is in love with little Owen Reese, the Molecule Man. She's trying to save him because he's hurt. Titania's like, what are you doing with a twerp like that? But Volcana makes a deal with the Enchantress to kind of save him and bring him back to life. We didn't really get the details on this deal, did we?
No. I love how bored the Enchantress is. She's like, why would I help you? I don't give a shit.
Does not care. Captain America's kind of sad because boy, I really wish we could go avenge this death, but I gotta sit here and watch Galactus work on his kind of stuff. And Professor X says, no big deal, man. We'll watch him. You can go. And they go, oh, really? Okay, cool, guys. Let's go. And so they go.
Yeah, that dramatic tension was undermined real quickly.
Yeah, yep. and meanwhile, Dr. Doom gets spat out of Galactus's spaceship, and he's all battle damaged.
Mm-hmm.
which is a cool look. I like the art of Doom looking all tattered. And Enchantress is like, oh shit, like I kind of pinned all my hopes on you succeeding, Doom. So what's the plan? And he's like, it doesn't matter. And then he just collapses, and you're like, that's not good.
Mm-hmm. There's also a few panels that felt like unusually out of place that I really enjoyed with the Absorbing Man, who had been like kind of almost mortally injured during one of the fights, but he's in stone form. And he's like, oh, I'm scared to turn back to human because what if I'm still really hurt and I die? It's like, I just got to try it. And the panel of him transforming back and like crying out in pain and then being like, oh, I'm okay. Like they have such a different look to them. I don't know what it is. There's something about maybe like the detail of the hair coupled with the coloring mixed with like his facial expression just does not look like the rest of these books. I really liked it.
I do like, it is funny. I mean, comics today, it's just such a, I guess, I don't know, it's the cynical adult eyes of just being like, yeah, well, they're not really going to kill anybody. Even, the characters they kill, like Wolverine, you're like, yeah, well, the clock is ticking until they bring him back. Mm. But, like, it is kind of nice, to see Absorbing Man be like, can I be killed? Like, I don't even know.
Oh, yeah, like, he's talking about his powers. Like, I don't know how they work.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not a scientist like these guys. I don't know how this works. Like, I can't stay stoned forever. I can't eat like this. So he's like, eventually I'm going to have to turn back human, but if my arm isn't attached, I'm just going to bleed everywhere and die. So I don't know what to do. And I was just like, that's a rare bit of pathos where, obviously we've given Jim Shooter a bit of a hard time with his writing women, particularly Rogue and the healer character and the Wasp. But this is a pretty good Absorbing Man. I do like this character, and I actually do like the flirting that he's had with Titania. Where
I think they might be one of my favorite couples in Marvel, Absorbing Man and Titania. I love them. They're great. Yeah.
Where he doesn't I love that he's a villain where he doesn't have any like big plans,
Yeah, he's just like living his life, going along with it. He's also like very strangely not like a womanizer or anything. Like they very clearly have some tension going on, but they're both acting like mature adults about it, which is nice to see two villains do. Yeah, and we also get to see all these villains have perfect aim because they fight She-Hulk all together, and there's this one panel where everybody is attacking She-Hulk at the exact same time. And she's getting hit by like a crowbar, a big like piece of a machine. There's Dr. Octopus's tentacles, and everybody is hitting her perfectly, and nobody is overlapping or getting mixed up with each other. Good job, villains! You guys are a good team.
I do feel like it's kind of bullshit that, and again, it's writing female characters not particularly well. That She-Hulk is immediately like defeated by the villains, and I guess it's the fact that it's like 6-on-1 or whatever.
Yeah.
But, like, she could have at least knocked out one of the Wrecking Crew. Like, the Wrecking Crew stink. Like, they exist to be, like, hired goons.
She did knock one of them out. She got the one that looks like the Bulleteer. I don't know.
That's right, Pile Driver. But once all of, when Thunderball and the Wrecker are, ganging up and beating She-Hulk, you're like, wait a minute, like... And Dr. Octopus, like if Spider-Man can be beaten by a teenager, I feel like She-Hulk should be able to beat Dr. Octopus.
I'm just now noticing this. I can't find the fourth one in this book. Does the Wrecking Crew just have the same colors as the Ninja Turtles? No, there's a red one instead of the blue one. Okay, they're pretty close though. I'm gonna just call them Leonardo and Michelangelo and all that from now on. I think it's good. Well, I feel like that's all that happened. I think we're done with this book, right? Yeah.
Yep. I feel like this was a stronger issue overall, though. After the last two issues were not very good.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm back in. I'm excited to see what happens with these Avengers. Speaking of Avengers, we're going to read some Avengers next time. We're going to get into the Kree-Skrull War. Yeah. Captain Marvel, that movie with Carol Danvers is coming out soon. We imagine it's going to have something to do with the Kree-Skrull War. Is that confirmed?
I don't think so. But so we were looking for a good Captain Marvel Carol Danvers story, and we were going through, we were reading a few Kelly Sue DeConnick stories, some Brian Reed stories of the last like 15 years, which, you know, kind of reflect where Carol Danvers is. But we just weren't finding, like, it was good, but we weren't finding like an arc that could just like sum up everything very cleanly for us. So we're like, well, what are some other like big Captain Marvel stories? And this the movie also references the Skrulls a lot, and it takes place in the 90s. And I remember Brian Michael Bendis would talk about how the Kree-Skrull War was like a flashpoint for Marvel. Like, it was a big, you know, like one of Marvel's first big events, or at least in his eyes it was, where it involved all the heroes, and it was like a big story. And I think his Illuminati stories reference it and some other things. And obviously Secret Invasion does.
Yeah, definitely. It was like the first kind of universe-wide, this is a really important milestone in our history and an event that's going to keep getting referenced.
It's like 1970, 1971, which I've never read. I've never read the Kree-Skrull War.
Yeah, me neither.
Although apparently we did read an issue of it. I didn't realize it way back when in our first, probably 4 years ago.
So is this going to be the first time we've read an issue twice for this comic?
Yes,
this
but I was reading some context apparently, because the issue we did read was when Ant-Man 1 came out, so that was almost 4 years ago, and Ant-Man went into the Vision. We're going to be reading that issue again, but I don't remember the context of why the Vision was knocked out, and it's apparently because he got knocked out by space cows. Which
no, those are the Skrulls from the beginning of Fantastic Four, I guess.
But they were pretending to be cows.
Yeah, not pretending to be cows. They got brainwashed into thinking they were cows.
Oh, I do remember this now, Chris. You're right. I do remember brainwashed cows now. I'm excited to reread this.
Anyway. These Skrulls, I think Skrulls are hilarious. I think they are some of the best.
So Carol Danvers is not Captain Marvel in this story, so we will note that we're doing a Captain Marvel story without Captain Marvel, but Carol Danvers is a major part of this story.
That's the important part.
Right, Chris?
So this is also long.
And Captain Marvel, the Kree guy who might be Jude Law in the movie, we don't know yet.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he does look like a is it Genus or no? It's not Genus. What is it?
It's just Marvel, right? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
What a weird name, Marvel. Good thing it fits in with the name of the company that he works for. His son is Genus, and then Phyla, they follow the whole Phyla, Phyla.
Yeah. Oh, I get it. I got it then too, and I forgot. Yeah.
So it's the Kree-Skrull War is from Avengers 89 through 97. So we're gonna bust that up into two parts. We're gonna read 89 through 93 next time. On top of Secret Wars 8. So we're still doing that. We're still continuing Secret Wars and then doing a little Kree-Skrull two-parter.
I think it's worth it. We've only done one other two-parter, which was Supreme, and that was definitely worth it.
One other two-part?
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. All right. We got to do more two-parters. They're good.
Mm-hmm.
If Supreme's anything to judge by, right?
Yeah. if we decide to read a book,
it makes the comic better.
Yeah.
I guess we're done, right?
I guess.
Thank you so much for listening. Anything else we want to talk about? Chris, what's your stupid minds doing? Are they taking down any crooked cops?
No, we recently did a Conan ripoff called Deathstalker 2, with which any fans of goofy, sword and sandals movies that have seen the movie will probably tell you that it's funnier and intentionally goofier than most of those movies, which is, I would say, good and bad, but it makes it an easier watch than a lot of those. So we had a lot of fun with that.
Great. Vince, you said you watched the Reign of the Superman thing, right?
Yeah, it was DC's animated movie sequel to Return to the Death of Superman, which I talked about when we covered that a couple episodes ago. And they did a two-part movie that just came out, and it was free. It's like $19 at Target or Walmart, but it was free on the DC Universe app, so check that out. It was really good. It had the same continuity, but it focused on Lois Lane, in her mourning, and the other Justice League members trying to console her, but then figuring out who all the new four Supermen were. And it was just its first act was really good. I was intrigued and interested in the movie the whole time. I thought it handled Superman's death better than Justice League, the live action movie, which isn't saying much, but usually when I watch those animated movies, I'm ho-hum on them. Like, a few of them have been okay. I mean, they're all fine, but they're not like, oh, I got to write home about this. But I really liked Reign of the Superman. You don't even need to watch the original one. Just need to know that Superman died. And if you got DC Universe or the app or the free trial, check it out. And
they're not paying us. You don't got to go into that much detail about their app. Come on, man.
It actually. So my major complaint about the DC Universe app was like its comic book selection, but they just did like a huge dump of a bunch of comics last week. You know how I was saying like, the selection sucks. Like, they have 52, but only the issue 1 of 52. They finally have all the issues of 52.
That makes sense. I feel like wasn't the Marvel Unlimited app also the same way when it first started?
Not to that extent.
Okay.
Yeah, but they dropped.
Why did you call it DC Universe? Like, that's a weird.
It's a dumb name. It's a dumb name, but it does. They dropped like the first like 10 to 15 issues of like most of their Rebirth titles. So like relatively recent DC now. So if you want to check out like Greg Rucka's Wonder Woman run or Tom King's Batman, like they have a fair amount of issues of that now. So, which you can get through Hoopla and some other like your local libraries also.
Hoopla,
yeah.
Is that a thing?
It hooks up with our local library here in San Antonio, so you can download DC books for free.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
All right. Let's hear it for the library. Yeah. All right.
Check out them libraries. Free and good.
Good. All right. Well, I guess we should all head to the library right now.
Let's all go to the library.
Do you know what the local library is in the suburb of Denver? That's where I'm going. All right. Thank you so much for listening. Chris, thank you.
Thank you.
Vince, thank you.
You're welcome.
Whoa. Okay. Thank you. I am welcome. I don't know what to do now.
You're welcome to come to the next episode.
Yeah. All right. End the show. We're done. Bye.